She's an idiot as always. That's what my mom wrote. In the family group chat.
About me.
I was scrolling through old messages, trying to double-check the menu for Easter. I'd already placed the bakery order, booked the catering, prepaid the chairs, and the tent. That's when I saw it. Mom, holiday Parasite.
Dad. Ad ha.
Mom, she is an idiot as always. I stared at it. It wasn't even hidden. Just there. They didn't know I was still in the thread. Didn't realize the new iMessage update lets you view deleted messages. Or maybe they just didn't care. I didn't cry. Not right away. Because shock always comes dressed as silence. I'd spent years funding Easter. Every year. Every ham. Every chair rental. Every last minute we forgot dessert. Not once did they ask if I could afford it. They just assumed I could. Assumed I would. And I did. Because I thought love was something you proved with receipts. But that night, I canceled every single payment. The bakery. The tent. The florist.
Gone.
And then I did something I'd never done. I took screenshots of every invoice I'd paid for the last 5 years. Labeled, totaled, and dropped them in the group chat. Then I wrote one line. Your Parasite just backed out. Good luck hosting. And I left the chat. No rage. No threats. Just a clean exit. My name is Tessa Rowe. I'm 32. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Because the moment they treated my effort like entitlement, they lost something they never knew how to hold. By sunrise, my phone had exploded. 8 missed calls from Mom. 3 from Dad. 1 from my cousin Lena, with a text that just said, "Are you okay?" Group chat's a disaster. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I brewed my coffee slow, stood by the window, and let the silence fill the space where their guilt was supposed to live. Around 10 a.m., the calls stopped, replaced by messages. Half apologies, half blame. We didn't mean it like that. You know how we joke. Why would you take it so personally? But here's the thing. I had taken everything personally for years. Every forgotten birthday. Every backhanded compliment. Every time Mom said, "At least your brother makes us laugh." Every time I paid without being thanked, and was still called dramatic if I asked for fairness. I wasn't the favorite. I was the function, the planner, the wallet, the quiet fixer. And now that the function had shut down, they didn't know how to handle the silence. By noon, my brother messaged, "Nice tantrum. You ruined Easter." I stared at the words, then smiled, because what they called a tantrum was actually a boundary, one I should have drawn years ago. I replied with a screenshot, the one where Mom called me a parasite, then added one line, "You don't get to eat what you mock." I blocked him, and just like that, Easter became the first holiday I spent with peace. Not people who confused love with leverage. That weekend, the family group chat rebranded itself. They removed my name, renamed it Just Us, and posted selfies from a last-minute backyard Easter setup, folding chairs, plastic tablecloths, and a grocery store cake with the frosting already melting. Mom posted a photo with a caption, "Even without certain people, family shows up." Red heart, #blessed. It got 3 likes. 2 from people I didn't even recognize. Lena sent me a screenshot with the message. "They're pretending it's fine, but it's a mess." I didn't ask for details.
Didn't need the play-by-play.
Because I'd spent so long behind the scenes, making sure everything looked picture-perfect, that I knew the cracks by heart. They didn't know how to order catering without me. Didn't know the tent vendor required a deposit. Didn't realize the chairs had to be reserved weeks in advance. They didn't plan the day. They reacted to the absence. And it showed. That afternoon, I took myself to brunch. Alone. Sunny patio. Fresh mimosa. No one asking me to split a bill I already paid. I watched kids run past in pastel dresses. Smiled at strangers. Tipped extra. It wasn't extravagant. It was quiet. And full. I posted one photo. Just my plate, my hand holding a fork, and the caption, "Sometimes peace looks like absence." No tags. No shade. Just truth. They could spin it however they wanted. But deep down they all knew, when the planner leaves, the whole illusion shatters. And I didn't just walk away from a holiday. I walked away from a job I was never paid for, and love I was always expected to earn. By Monday, the narrative shifted. Now I wasn't just too sensitive. I was selfish, ungrateful, the one who held a grudge over a joke. They told everyone I made Easter about money. Funny, considering they never noticed it was about money.
Mine.
Every receipt I dropped in the chat had gone unanswered. Every year, they thanked my brother for coordinating everything, while I paid deposits behind the scenes, and got told I was controlling for asking who was bringing napkins. This time, I let them tell their version. I didn't argue, didn't defend, because I'd finally learned people committed to misunderstanding you will never hear the truth. But people watching closely, they already saw it. Lena sent me another text. Aunt May called Mom out. Said it was low to mock you in the chat. Mom denied it. I sent her the screenshot.
I didn't ask what happened next, but I imagined it.
The panic, the scramble, the realization that what they whispered wasn't just heard. It was documented. I updated a folder on my computer. When they pretend it didn't happen. Inside it, screenshots, receipts, bank statements. Proof that memory isn't petty, it's protective. They wanted me to come back, to be the bigger person. But forgiveness isn't owed just because blood says so. Sometimes the only apology you'll ever get is the silence that follows exposure. And I was finally okay with that. Because I hadn't lost a family. I'd stepped out of an unpaid role and into my own peace. By midweek, the calls began. Dad first. His voice awkward, overly casual. Hey, just checking in.
Hope you're okay.
Your mom's been upset. You know how she gets. Then a pause, waiting for me to fill the silence. I didn't. He cleared his throat. She didn't mean it. Things were said in frustration. Let's just move past it. But moving past was always their code. For me letting it go. For me forgetting. For me pretending it never happened. I ended the call with one word. Noted. Then I blocked the number. 2 hours later, a message from my cousin. Aunt Jenna says your mom's not eating. Says you broke her heart. No one mentioned the text. The word, Parasite. The years I gave. The sacrifices I made that were never acknowledged. Because when the scapegoat steps off the stage, the entire performance unravels. Lena texted again. They're panicking. Group chat went silent. They're afraid of what you'll post next. I hadn't planned on posting more. But that message made me realize something.
They weren't sorry. They were scared. Not of losing me,
but of losing the version of me who kept quiet to keep the peace. So I posted a story. A screenshot of my Easter expenses over the last 5 years. $1,200 here, $800 there. No names. Just a caption. Ask who paid. Ask who planned. Ask who called me a parasite. No response. Just silence. The kind that follows. A truth too loud to ignore. The silence didn't last long. By Friday, the group chat pinged again. This time from Mom. We all say things we don't mean. You've embarrassed the entire family. Are you proud of that? No apology. Just blame, disguised as concern. I read it twice. Then closed my phone. Because here's the truth they never wanted to face. I wasn't trying to embarrass them. I was trying to exist without being mocked, used, or erased. For years, I did everything they never saw. And everything they did see, they twisted. If I brought food, I was trying to show off. If I asked for help, I was too emotional. I went back through my photos that night. There I was, setting up folding chairs, holding trays of deviled eggs, filling plastic eggs with candy while kids screamed and laughed around me, smiling in every single photo. But I could see it now. That smile was made of survival. Lena messaged again. I think they're starting to realize. You always made the holidays happen. You were the glue. And now it's cracked.
Good.
Let it break. Let them feel the weight of their own words in the space I once filled. Because I wasn't going to stitch myself back together. just so they could tear me open again next year. This time I was done. Not in anger, not in bitterness, just in peace. And peace, when it arrives, doesn't knock. It walks right in and locks the door behind it. Saturday morning, my doorbell rang.
Twice.
Then a pause. Then again. Longer, louder. I peeked through the side window. Dad, holding a plastic grocery bag, shoulders hunched like a boy in trouble. I didn't open the door. Instead, I answered through the intercom. Yes. He flinched at the sound. It's just me. Brought your favorite cake from that place near the library. Thought we could talk. I almost laughed. Not at the cake, but at the sheer audacity. Dad, who once told me I overdramatize everything, was now standing in the rain, offering sugar to erase scars. Why now? I asked. He blinked. Because you matter. Your mom, she's not good with words. I let silence hang there. Not good with words, but somehow perfectly fluent in insults, labels, and digital betrayal. You can leave the cake, I said finally, but I won't open the door. He nodded slowly, setting the bag down. Okay, I get it, I think. As he turned, I saw it. The confusion. The dawning understanding that I was no longer the family doormat. I was the boundary. Inside, Lena texted me. You good? I replied with a picture. The cake sitting untouched on my porch. Rain beginning to hit the box. Captioned simply, some things can't be sweetened. And for the first time in years, my chest felt light. Not because anything was fixed, but because I wasn't carrying it anymore. Easter morning came. No group chat messages. No calls. No guilt-laced reminders. Just quiet. A rare, golden kind. I brewed coffee slowly, letting the steam rise like a ceremony. No deviled eggs. No baskets. No family duty. Instead, I walked barefoot across the grass in my backyard, spread a blanket, and opened my journal. There, in ink, I wrote the truth I'd always danced around. I was never the parasite. I was the host. And now I've stopped feeding what only drained me. At noon, I posted a single image online. A photo collage. 10 years of Easter tables. Dozens of receipts. Me holding babies. Me serving food. Me smiling. Me cleaning. Me always showing up. Caption. She wasn't the holiday parasite. She was the unpaid event planner, therapist, gift buyer, emotional buffer, peacekeeper, and cleanup crew. She left. You're on your own now. I turned off notifications and turned on music. By sunset, I danced alone in my kitchen. No noise, no shame, no performance. Just freedom. Later, I got one last text from Lena. They're scrambling.
Can't find the plastic eggs.
Can't even find matching chairs. I smiled, because that was the revenge. Not bitterness. Not exposure. Just letting them taste what it feels like when the one you called a burden was actually the backbone. And now that spine had walked away. Straight, tall, and never looking back. My name is Haley Monroe. I'm 27. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the people you bled for pretend your sacrifices never existed? The room froze after Dad's words. Mom's smirk curved like a blade, slicing into the air, while my sister shifted in her chair, eyes glittering with smug victory. For years, I had carried them, rent, utilities, even the mortgage top-ups when Dad's pension fell short. Every paycheck I earned, I split. Every dream I shelved for them. And yet, here they were, erasing me in one sentence. My hands trembled, not with weakness, but with clarity. Their denial wasn't confusion. It was betrayal, deliberate and cruel. I glanced at the old photo on the wall. Me at 16, holding 2 jobs, still smiling. Back then, I thought love was measured by sacrifice. Now I knew better. In this family, love was measured by lies. Mom's voice snapped me back. Haley, stop exaggerating. Your sister has always been the responsible one. We never asked you for anything. I laughed, a sharp, broken sound that startled even me. Responsible? She couldn't balance a checkbook if her life depended on it. Yet here I was, painted as the selfish one. I locked eyes with my father. Every bank transfer, every receipt, I saved. If you really want to erase me, fine. But don't you dare erase the numbers. Don't erase the truth. Silence. The kind that weighs like thunder before a storm. My sister bit her lip, suddenly nervous. And in that silence, I realized the ledger of my life wasn't empty. It was full, overflowing with proof. They thought they buried me in denial. But numbers don't lie. And soon neither would I. The night I walked out of their house, I carried nothing but my purse and a flash drive. On it sat every transfer, every memo line, every single dollar I had funneled into their lives. $1,200 for the leaking roof. $800 for mom's dental crown. $2,500 for dad's emergency loan that was never repaid. Add it all up, almost $61,000 over 7 years. And now they claimed they never received a cent. I drove home with the steering wheel shaking beneath my grip. Betrayal has a strange sound. It isn't screaming or glass breaking. It's the quiet hum of tires on asphalt while you replay every memory and realize it was built on lies. By morning, my phone was buzzing. 50 missed calls, half from Dad, half from my sister. I ignored them all. Instead, I printed the bank statements, every one in crisp black ink, and laid them across my kitchen table. It looked less like family support and more like evidence in a courtroom. When Mom finally texted, her words dripped honey and poison. "Haley, don't make this bigger than it is. We all know you struggle with exaggeration. Just let it go, for the family's sake." Exaggeration. My blood boiled. I wasn't exaggerating. I was exhausted. At work, I forced myself to smile through meetings, but the truth followed me everywhere. I remembered skipping vacations, skipping nights out, skipping the life my 20s should have been, all because my family's bills came first. And now I was painted as the liar. That evening, I called my bank manager. "I need certified records. Full documentation. All the transfers to my parents' account." She hesitated. "Are you filing something?" I swallowed hard. "Let's just say I'm preparing for the truth to come out." I stared at the stack of papers, the story of my life in black and white. My sister could smirk. My parents could chuckle. But soon, their laughter would choke on the weight of evidence. Because if they wanted to erase me, I would carve my name back into the ledger they couldn't deny. And this time, it wouldn't be silent. By the weekend, whispers had started circling in our extended family. My aunt called first, her voice tight. "Haley, is it true you cut your parents off? After everything they did for you?" I bit down hard on my lip. Their narrative was spreading faster than I could defend myself. Somehow, I had become the villain. Ungrateful daughter, selfish sister. The one who abandoned her family. Meanwhile, my sister basked in sympathy, telling anyone who would listen that she had carried the family on her back. But the numbers said otherwise. And soon, everyone would see. That night, I opened my laptop and created a folder. The Truth Project. Inside, I scanned the certified bank records, labeling each by date and purpose. Every $300 grocery top-up, every $400 temporary loan, every $5,000 emergency bailout. I paired each transfer with text messages where my parents had begged for help, their words dripping with urgency. "Please, Haley, your sister is busy. You know she can't handle money. Just this once." Just this once, repeated dozens of times. The more I compiled, the clearer the pattern became. I wasn't just helping. I was the lifeline. And lifelines, once severed, leave people gasping. Still, my chest ached. Part of me wished it wasn't true, that my parents hadn't chosen lies over loyalty, that they hadn't erased my sacrifices with one cruel chuckle. But denial was no longer an option. 2 days later, Dad showed up at my apartment door, gray-faced and sweating. He didn't ask to come in, he barged. "What are you trying to do, Haley? Ruin us? Embarrass us in front of everyone?" I held his gaze, calm but steady. "I'm not ruining you. I'm reminding you." He slammed his hand against the counter. "We told you. We never got that money. I slid the stack of certified statements across the table. His eyes dropped. His hand shook. For the first time, I saw fear flicker behind his anger. Because denial works until the paper trail walks into the room. And my trail had just arrived. Dad's hands trembled as he flipped through the stack. Every page was a mirror, reflecting back the truth he had sworn never existed. I watched his jaw clench, his breath grow shallow. He wasn't looking at numbers. He was looking at years of betrayal exposed in black ink. "Where did you get these?" he muttered. I almost laughed. "From the bank. From reality. Where do you think?" For the first time in my life, my father, the man who always thundered over every room, seemed small. But before he could answer, my phone buzzed. A new message from my sister. "Careful, Haley. Some things are better left buried." Buried. The word sent a chill down my spine. She wasn't just covering lies. She was protecting something bigger. Something darker. I met Dad's eyes. "So that's the game? Pretend the money never existed. Keep me the villain, while she hides behind your silence." He said nothing, only shoved the papers back toward me, like they burned his skin. "Don't bring this up again," he snapped, voice breaking. But it was already too late. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked circles around my living room, the glow of the city seeping through the blinds. Every text, every receipt, every sacrifice spun in my head. I had been their shield, their provider, their scapegoat. And when I stopped bleeding for them, they twisted the knife. I opened my laptop again. The Truth Project had grown. Now, I began drafting a letter, not for them, but for the people who had been fed their lies. Aunts, uncles, cousins, friends who had looked at me with judgment in their eyes. The letter began with 6 words. Numbers don't lie, but people do. By the time I signed my name, my pulse had steadied. I wasn't just fighting for acknowledgement. I was reclaiming my voice. And the louder I wrote, the quieter their lies became. Sunday dinner was supposed to be family time. Instead, it became my stage. I walked into my parents' house with a manila envelope tucked under my arm. My sister was already there, lounging on the couch, her smile sharp as glass. "Haley," she purred. "Finally decided to apologize?" I laid the envelope on the dining table and slid it across. Not an apology. Evidence. Mom frowned, but curiosity got the better of her. She pulled out the papers, certified transfers, receipts, messages begging for help. Her eyes darted across the lines, her face draining of color. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his chair. My sister, however, only rolled her eyes. "This doesn't prove anything," she scoffed. "Anyone can fake paperwork." I leaned in, my voice low but steady. "Then explain the matching withdrawals from your account the very next day. $700 here, $1,200 there. You were the one spending it, weren't you?" Her smirk faltered for just a second, enough for Mom to notice. The silence was thick, suffocating. For years, I had been their invisible lifeline, the daughter who gave without question. But now, the truth was laid bare, and my sister's polished facade was cracking. Dad tried to regain control. "Haley, enough. This isn't the place." "Isn't the place?" I cut him off. "This is exactly the place. Right here, at the same table where you compared me to her, where you said I'd never measure up. Well, guess what? I was the one holding this family together while she drained it dry." Mom's hands shook as she set the papers down. My sister glared daggers, her mask slipping into rage. And in that moment, I realized something chilling. They hadn't just denied me. They had conspired to rewrite history, to erase me from the narrative altogether. But numbers and courage have a way of burning through lies. And this fire had only just begun. The fallout began the next morning. By dawn, my inbox was flooding. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all forwarding the letter I had sent with the attachments. Some messages were awkward silence, others sharp with disbelief. But a few carried quiet apologies. "We had no idea, Haley. Your sister always said she was the one paying. You deserved better." Each note cut and healed in equal measure. Meanwhile, my sister launched her counterattack. On social media, she painted me as unstable and obsessed with money. She posted smiling photos of mom and dad, captioned, "Family means love, not ledgers." The comments flooded with sympathy. But beneath the surface, doubt had been seeded. Because the documents were real, the numbers were undeniable. That afternoon, Dad called again. This time, his voice wasn't thunder, it was gravel. "Haley, what do you want from us?" I closed my eyes. What did I want? Not money, not repayment, just acknowledgement. The simple truth spoken aloud. I had given, and they had taken. But asking for truth from liars was like begging for water from stone. "I want you to stop pretending," I said softly. "That's all." There was silence on the line, broken only by his ragged breathing. Finally, he whispered, "You'll destroy this family." "No," I replied. "You already did when you erased me." That night, I lit a single candle in my apartment. The documents spread before me. The flicker illuminated every number, every sacrifice. My heart should have felt heavy. Instead, it felt light, as if every page was peeling their weight off my shoulders. I realized then, revenge wasn't about shattering them. It was about reclaiming myself. And once you've tasted freedom from lies, there's no going back to silence. Tomorrow, the world would hear the story in my voice, not theirs. And my sister's perfect mask? It was already crumbling. The invitation came disguised as a peace offering. "Family dinner. One last chance to talk this through," Mom's message read. I almost deleted it, but something inside me whispered, "Go." Not to reconcile, but to watch the truth fracture under its own weight. When I arrived, the house was too quiet. My sister was already seated at the table, arms crossed, a glass of wine in hand. Dad stared at his plate, unable to meet my eyes. Mom smiled, brittle and desperate. "We don't need to drag this out," my sister began. "Haley's making a fool of herself, sending letters, parading numbers around like they matter. Families aren't built on spreadsheets." I slid a small black binder across the table. Families aren't built on lies either. Inside were not only the certified records, but screenshots of her spending, the vacations she took, the luxury handbags she flaunted, all within days of my transfers. Mom's face drained of color. Dad finally looked up, eyes hollow. My sister's mask shattered. "You had no right," she hissed. "No right?" My voice rose, steady and sharp. "I had every right. Because while you were sipping champagne in Cabo, I was working double shifts to cover bills you swore you'd handle. While you posted filtered photos of hard work paying off, I was sending the money that made it possible." Silence thickened. Mom's hands trembled. Dad rubbed his temples like the truth was a migraine he couldn't bear. I leaned back, letting the binder sit like a live grenade between us. "I'm done explaining. You can deny me, but you can't deny the evidence. The world knows now. And sooner or later, you'll have to answer for it." My sister's lips curled into a snarl. But her eyes gave her away. Fear. Because she knew what I knew. Masks can only hold so long under the weight of truth. And hers was seconds from collapsing completely. The binder sat between us like a final verdict. No one touched it. No one dared. I stood, calm in a way I hadn't felt in years. "You don't have to admit it," I said quietly. "The numbers already have." My sister's mouth opened, but no sound came. Mom blinked rapidly, as if tears could wash away the ledger of truth. Dad just stared at the table, shoulders slumped under the weight of silence. For the first time, I realized I didn't need their words. Their denial wasn't my burden anymore. My proof had spoken louder than their lies ever could. I gathered the binder, slid it into my bag, and turned to the door. "This isn't about destroying you," I said, pausing. "It's about saving me." When I stepped outside, the air felt different, crisp, lighter, almost forgiving. The night sky stretched wide above me, and for once, it didn't feel like a ceiling pressing down. It felt like a horizon. The days that followed were strangely quiet. No more late-night calls demanding explanations. No more relatives judging me from the sidelines. One by one, people reached out not to accuse, but to listen. The truth had already started doing its quiet work, reshaping the story that had been twisted against me. And my sister? She went silent online. Her glossy posts vanished. Her curated image dissolved without a single word from me. Lies, after all, require constant feeding. But the truth, it survives on its own. One evening, I burned the last stack of receipts I hadn't filed. Watching the papers curl into ash, I finally let go. Not of the money, not of the years, but of the need for their recognition. They tried to erase me. They tried to bury me under denial. But I had written myself back into the story, not with their approval, but with my own resolve. And in the quiet crackle of flames, I understood. Freedom isn't them admitting what they did. Freedom is me walking forward without their permission.